Well, hey there everybody, it's Chris from the Rate the Record podcast, and sure, maybe I took a week off from doing the NMR last week because I was doing other things with the channel, but I am back this week with 4 brand new tracks to check out. I have opinions on them, so I'm going to tell you about it, and then I want to hear your opinions because that's how this thing works. Now I'm going to move over here so I can actually start talking about it. And as I'm moving over here, I'm just going to remind you very gently to make sure that you like and subscribe if you like what you see today. Very easy, free way to help the channel. It only takes a second. Really appreciate it if you would do that. It helps us out tremendously. And yeah, we just feel encouraged to keep making things like this. And the podcast, of course. So first up on the list today, we have Ace Frehley, who's probably better known for being a quarter of the
famous American rock band
Kiss. Yeah, you know, one of my favorite bands of all time. Well, at least he was for about 16 years-ish, to be exact. And he just released his 8th studio album called 10,000 Volts toward the end of February, and today I'll be looking at that title track. Yep, it's just like you'd imagine, just a bunch of dad-ass butt rock. It's very generic, uninspired, unadulterated fart rock. What would you expect from an Ace Frehley song? This is the guy who was in Kiss for at least a good chunk of his career. And I'm not going to go on a tangent about Kiss, but it's Ace Frehley. The production is clean, I will say that much. The riffage is fine on its own too, that's not even so bad. But try to convince me that you haven't heard like a million songs that are like a dead ringer compared to this one, and I'll honest to God try to believe you. There's nothing that stands out about this among any other song I've heard of like this. Oh man, this wasn't that good, was it? The singing is very underwhelming too. Like, it sounds like he was trying but also not trying at the same time. I don't know. The lyrics suck. The hook is ass. I mean, I don't know, 10,000 volts or something along the lines of that. Like, it's done weird. I know he's trying to be charismatic and a little cartoony with it, but at the same time, it's just, I don't know, man. So overall, no. Maybe you'll find it fun though, I don't know. I mean, there's better generic junk out there than this, and if you're a Kiss fan, then you probably already hate me for talking shit on this, but I'm just saying stick to Kiss. It's probably going to be a lot better than this. This isn't good. So coming up next on the list, we have Kings of Leon, the alternative rock / garage rock band out of Nashville, Tennessee, and they are set to drop their 9th studio album this coming May called Can We Please Have Fun, and the first single that they're teasing from this album is called Mustang. So I should note that coming into this review, I'm not a huge Kings of Leon fan. I never have been. Some of their tracks are pretty cool. I like the song Crawl, for example. I think that one's pretty neat. So I was kind of curious to see what their first new music in 3 years would sound like, so I guess this is where we find out. Some of the instrumentals in this one are a little interesting, I'll say that much. I like the tone of the production. It's very warm and soft, whereas the music still has like a little bit of life to it at the very least. And that's kind of where the praise ends, unfortunately, for this song, because, I mean, kind of like I said with the last track, this one's also very uninspired. It's not as bad as the last track, so you don't have to worry about the Ace Frehley comparisons, but it's still just, I don't know, there's not enough there going on. The chorus is a little fun, so I could say that, but it's not enough to actually save this. It kind of feels like an idea that never really left the jam phase of kind of writing new material for a new album. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. Some of the layering is cool, but again, as a whole, it's just not very flattering. Overall, this one just wasn't doing it for me. I mean, sorry, not sorry. I wanted to dig this one, I really did, but just, I wasn't feeling it. There's just so little happening that was actually interesting that I was actually kind of relieved when it was over, unfortunately. I will still listen to new tracks as they come out. Hopefully they'll be better than this one. But yeah, this one just not sitting too well with me. Coming up at number 3 on the list today, we have Annie Clark, aka Saint Vincent, and she is a pop / art rock musician out of Dallas, Texas, and her 7th studio album, All Born Screaming, is set to come out at the end of April, and the first track that has come out from this album actually came out on the late day, February 29th, that just passed, and the song is called Broken Man. Just a bit of a small note moving forward on this one too. I know she has quite the following from what I understand, but I want to make it perfectly clear that I'm not really aware of any of her material. Like, I've heard of her, but I've never really heard her music in the past. So it's not like I know what to expect out of this album, where she could be going, if she's matching any of her older sounds. Unfortunately, I just don't know that. So depending on my review, maybe I'll feel more inclined to listen to some of the older stuff, but let's see where we go with it. I think having the instrumentals here being fairly minimal was actually probably a smarter choice because it really gives a good chance for the vocals to be displayed here. And I honestly think the vocals are fantastic all over this track. It feels kind of confrontational while also being a little sultry too, so I like this mix. I like the tone of what's going on. I like the atmosphere of the track. Good so far. The little stabs of obscure vocal harmonies in this one in the first chorus, and I guess mostly through the song, kind of keeps popping up periodically. Those really stood out to me too. They were so sudden, and I think dissonant might be the right word to describe it too, because it felt so off, but at the same time, it perfectly fit the atmosphere that was going on in this track too. So it felt really good to hear that. I'm just like, oh, that was so strange, but that was a really good addition. The song has a really fun and dancey energy to it while showing it all off through this really muddy style of production as well. And if you've been here before, you know I like that muddy style of production if it's done properly. And to be honest, I think it fits really well here because it kind of feels like a good melding of genres where something like this could fit when you're trying to experiment with a different tone, different sound. So I like that here. It works. Overall, I will say it's better than what I thought I could have possibly expected out of this, but again, I don't even know what I could have expected considering I don't know anything about St. Vincent, the past material, or anything like that. But just, I guess, I don't know, I had a half-half feeling going into it, but I really ended up liking this one. It was a fun and slightly dark feeling little number, and you know what, maybe I will give her music a try. Maybe I'll go back to her older stuff. If you're a St. Vincent fan listening to this right now, maybe go down in the comments and give me some recommendations. I would like to know where to start. Besides at just the beginning, what are your recommendations? I'm actually kind of curious now. And finally, on the NMR today, what I usually like to do in these NMRs is include at least one band that I find on Spotify, for example, that has 3,000 or a few thousand or less streams, and just try to give them a little bit of exposure, and even exposure to myself because, I do like discovering new music. And today, that band happens to be Schedule 1, a post-punk act out of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. They dropped their debut EP back in January 2022, and their first full-length project is set to be released on April 10th, and the album and title track is what I'm checking out today, and it is called Crucible. Now, doing a revival genre, like post-punk, for example, it can be a very hit-or-miss style of game. Either you will absolutely nail the sound and give it your own little spin too, so that way it's interesting and stands out a little more within that revival, or you'll just completely flop and be a tryhard when it comes to this kind of sound, or the sound that you're trying to go for. Thankfully, I think this song is of the former. I think they actually kind of nail it in this one. This follows a lot of the post-punk tropes, but it also has some rock guitars sprinkled in every once in a while, especially in some of the bridges. You hear these bluesy style rock guitars kind of doing mini solos every once in a while. But it honestly kind of fits nicely here, and it has a heavier but a poppier sound as well, so that kind of fits the atmosphere pretty decently in the end. It all works here to be this really fun and bouncy style of song. It's got a really straightforward progression, but the layers and atmosphere are really all-encompassing, so it's a really fun track to just kind of lose yourself in. It does have its darker moments to it, it has its more energetic and lively moments to it, so it kind of gives you a good balancing act of both. Overall, I can say that this one is fun. I love the production on this one. It has a very easily accessible sound that just really feels exciting to listen to, and this is exactly why I like trying to find these bands to bring onto the NMR. I mean, they're not all going to sound fantastic when I do, but then you get the instances like this where it actually does sound really good, and now I feel inclined to want to go forward and find more of their music to listen to. I'm really looking forward to checking out more of their music since I like this. So yeah, great job on this one. I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it too. And that's all I have for the NMR this week, so thank you very much for tuning in and listening to these songs. And if you indeed listened to these songs, make sure you let me know what you think of them down in the comments below, because that's kind of how this works. I shared my opinions. I want to hear yours. What did you like and hate out of this week? What songs do you recommend? Especially the St. Vincent thing, because, I just always want to hear new things that I'm not used to, and I liked what I heard from St. Vincent. I want to hear more. But yeah, let me know about any of the songs you heard today down in the comments below. And you can also let us know your opinion over on ratetherecord.ca. Maybe not there specifically, but there are ways to get in touch with us. All of our social media links are over there, so you can follow us and let us know your opinions over there. Way to contact us through email is over there as well. You'll also find all the streaming links to the podcast, so you can catch up on that before Season 6 eventually starts up at some point this year. Still undetermined, but it is going to come back at some point. There is merch. You can also request albums for us to do in Season 6 and beyond, so that link is still there. And of course, there's a link to our Ko-fi page if you want to financially support the show, ko-fi.com/ratetherecord. Completely optional. but it's super nice if you want to do that. But just liking and subscribing is big enough, and also leaving comments. We need those algorithms to really catch on to us, you know? And speaking of letting the algorithms catch on to us, I did just release a brand new video this past Monday, at least at the point of recording this, a brand new I Love This Song video. The sparse series that we do once in a while, and because the podcast isn't going on, I could probably do more of them. Well, I just released one. I did one for April Wine's Silver Dollar, a band I've known of since I was a kid. Started getting into them more in my 20s. And this song in particular, Silver Dollar, I mean, spoiler alert, I do indeed love that song. So if you want to hear me gush about that for a little while, check out that video. But yes, we have to please the algorithmic gods of YouTube. So if you can go over there, give it a view, give it a like, maybe leave some comments and opinions on that one too. Fantastic, because just getting that kind of stuff out really feels good, and it's a free way of helping us. So yeah, go ahead and do that. And one more quick announcement too. Starting next week, as long as nothing goes wrong, likely Wednesday night too, I'm going to be doing the first Rate the Record live stream. I think I'm finally ready to do this. I'm setting up a live stream to happen Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. EST or ET. I don't really know what time zone thing is happening right now. Daylight savings time, I don't know. Regardless, 7:30 p.m., let's say based out of Toronto time, if you really need to look that up or anything like that. I think I'm ready to do this. I've been preparing for a while. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I want you to be there. It's going to pop up soon in the feed saying, hey, just a reminder, this is happening. So make sure you join me Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. EST, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I have a big kind of event lined up that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to require a lot of participation. I want you to be a part of it. So please, live stream, first one for Rate the Record next week. Join me. And that's it. That's everything that I have now. I'm done talking. So one more time, thank you very much for hanging out with me and watching this video. Until I see you next time, go listen to some awesome music. Take care, friends.